that was a totally different experience because like people were saying like, "Oh my gosh, I love you! Like you're amazing!" and like asking for pictures. And I had my medals with me, and I was trying to get back to my spot in the stands, and it took me like an hour because people just kept stopping me, and they wanted to wear the medals and like all this stuff.
Welcome to Social Kick. I'm Brian Lundquist. We got the full crew: Dr. John Mullen, Luke Paddington, and fresh off of the Olympic Games, Alex Shackell. What's going on, Alex?
Nothing much. Just getting back into the groove after the Olympics and starting senior year of high school. Figuring that out and back in practice now. So, yeah.
Well, we did poll our audience at Social Kick Swim on Instagram and on YouTube for questions for you. And since you mentioned it, one of them did ask about, the whole like coming back into high school thing. I lost it because I wasn't going to ask this one. We'll come back to it later, but first, maybe we'll ask about the Olympics then instead. Did you get into pin trading while at the Olympics? That's one from Andre A. Carlson asked us that on Instagram.
I did. My roommate and I, well, I guess there was like 5 of us in a room, but Anna and I, Peplowski, we took a lot of, I don't want to say practice because you can't really practice it, but once we figured out how it worked, we went out for like a full day and just started like finding people and asking like random countries, like, do you have a pin? And like not everyone speaks English. And so we'd be like, pin? And they'd be like, what? We're like showing our tag. We're like, pin. And they eventually figured it out. But some countries weren't so fond of it. And they're like, no. And we're like, all right. So we got some unique countries, and most people were excited to get a U.S. pin. That was pretty popular for other countries. So we felt special when they got really excited about our pin.
What was the one piece of gear whenever I was traveling for Team USA? There was always like 1 or 2 pieces of gear that maybe they don't like fit right, or you're just like, I'm not going to use this again, and they're like at the top of your list for trying to move them and trade them for something else. What's the one thing that like was the top of your list that you're like, I don't really want this, but nobody wanted to trade with?
Some of the clothes, like we got tons of clothes, like 4 different brands, and now like since there's so many like US Olympians there, especially this year, like there's some pieces that like, weren't going to fit you, and they just couldn't like customize it for every single person. So I got like an extra large pair of shorts, and I'm like, these are not going to ever fit me. So I would try and trade off stuff like that, or I just have it and I'll like give it or donate it or something. But some of it I'll just never wear.
Does make you wonder how you ended up with a double XL. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
What were you going to say, Luke?
I got 2 stories on that. So I signed for Trinidad, and we didn't always have the best sponsors for our gear. So I'd go up to like trade with Italy or the US, and they'd be like, Rossi? What's Rossi? No. I didn't want they said no to me. I was like so upset. And then conversely, we're going to trade with countries like Cuba. And we were like, and Cuba had nothing to trade back, but because they had nothing on their teams, they had like no uniforms and stuff. But this is like not Olympics, smaller meets. And I was so happy to give them that stuff and have them go away with stuff. It was really nice to give your stuff away, because we also are lucky that we do have gear and have so much swag. So it's a nice reminder of that.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I should just give it away. Oh, I found the one that I was going to ask you. This one was from Arden Adams 2125 asked, how in the world does she balance being an Olympic swimmer with being a student? So yeah, how do you do that?
That's a great question. But luckily because Carmel takes sports really seriously, especially swimming, knowing our girls high school team is like the best high school team ever. And
shout out.
Yeah. I have to shout out my school because they do so much for me, and especially our athletic director. His name's Jimmy Inskeep, and he helps me so much. Especially last year, I got something called athletic release. So because it was an Olympic year, I got to take 2 less classes off. So 3 actually. 2 and then 1 study hall that is usually required. But So I took 3 total classes off. So every morning after practice, I got to go home and eat a full breakfast and then shower and then come back to school instead of my freshman and sophomore year where I usually would just finish practice and I'd have to pack my breakfast and lunch that night. Well, my mom also did most of that, luckily, but and I would have like a yogurt parfait and like protein shake or something like that. But because I got to go home now, my mom would always have breakfast made for me with like 4 eggs and toast and like more like either a chocolate milk or protein shake. So that was a big plus for me. And definitely shout out Jimmy for letting me do that. I feel like it definitely helped overall.
Shout out Alex Shackell for that breakfast.
Yes, for sure. She always has the meals prepared.
So best high school swimming in the 1960s, Santa Clara High School. There's a kid before Spitz, before Phelps, a kid called Don Scholander, came back with 4 gold medals from the 64 Olympic Games. And I always thought, what was it like walking on campus as a senior with 4 Olympic gold medals? You got close, you got 2 of them. What was that like coming back to your high school? And you're like, you know, we all saw your stuff on Instagram, taking your senior pics with your medals. But honestly, what was that like coming in? And did people actually care? Or was it too much caring and too much like, whoa, that was a lot? Like, what's the experience like for you?
It's a mix of both. So I feel like people try to keep it pretty like chill, not like make it seem like I'm some celebrity. But then, what was it, 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, we had our first home football game, and I was like recognized on like the track by the field, and I like waved to the student section and to like the parents and all of like our Carmel fans, and that's when it really like went crazy for the first time. Like all leading up to that, like school was pretty normal. Like it'd be like a few like people talking to me and like asking about it and teachers, but then that was a totally different experience because like people were saying like, "Oh my gosh, I love you! Like you're amazing!" and like asking for pictures. And I had my medals with me, and I was trying to get back to my spot in the stands, and it took me like an hour because people just kept stopping me, and they wanted to wear the medals and like all this stuff. And so that was just crazy. But it's also like nice knowing like people aren't like. We're like Carmel's not really like a jealous place. Like they're like genuinely happy for like students or other like an alumni who like succeed. So
that's good. You worked hard for that. Well done.
So this is from Courage and Perseverance, which I think is the Carmel account. But has she watched Emily in Paris yet? No,
people have told me to watch it, but I haven't. I'm really into like crime and morbid horror shows. So
like what?
Well, I was into Criminal Minds for a long time, and then there's another show called The Mentalist that's really good. It's like an older show. I watched that with my dad and my mom all of quarantine, and then my dad and I started a show like yesterday. I don't know what it's called. It's in a different language, but we had the captions on, and it's really good. So just stuff like that. And I'm actually going to an escape room today with some of my Carmel teammates. So
I love that. All right. Well, this one was from Eugenery U5525. What kind of books do you read?
Oh, this is not a good question for me.
No books.
School required books.
So I actually did read the Katie Ledecky book, Just Add Water, I think it's called.
First, how do we feel about that title?
Sorry, what?
How do we feel about that title?
Well, I Katie Ledecky literally lives in water, so I mean, she came up with it, and overall, I thought
shout out.
Yeah, Luke's got the book.
You have the book.
It's good.
Yeah, but is it signed?
I read it in 24 hours. She sent it out to me.
Wow.
And it was like the day before trials, I think. And I just read it. And then I was like, if I can get as much like advice and information from this book before trial starts, like that'd be a huge advantage. And so I finished it, and I actually feel like it helped me going to trials. So thanks to Katie for sending me that.
What takeaway or one or two takeaways did you get from that book to help you at trials?
Well, one, she just talks about like trusting her training and knowing like all the work she puts in, and she also talks about all the respect she has for her coaches, and something I feel like going into these meets that I can be like really like, I don't want to say selfish, because sometimes you should be selfish for yourself at some meets, but also like realizing your coaches are there with you and they want you to succeed as much as yourself. And so just trusting my coaches as well, and I do whatever Chris Plum or Chris Foff tells me to do. And that just gave me a lot of peace, knowing that like I've already put in the work, and I trials was in my own like state in like 20 minutes from my house. So I also had knowing like my whole state was behind me. So
What would the title of your book be?
oh boy. Oh man. I don't know. I feel like it has to resonate with my Instagram username, Alexandra the Bee, because I've gotten like as I get older, it gets a little bit more embarrassing having that as my username. But I made it when I was 8 years old, and I was like, my mom, like, I don't know why I got Instagram when I was 8 years old, but I had my little iPad, and my mom and I were like, what should you make your username? I was like, Alexandra the Beast. And so that's when it started. And I just feel like I can't change it. Like, everyone, like, last year when I first made the world's team, they just called me like Alexandra the Beast. And so now it's just who I am. I can't change it.
We were debating before you came on who had a better handle, you or Chlorine Daddy.
I feel like it's iconic when you have a unique username. So
all right, we had another audience question. This one's from M.Sudol23. What was the best part of being able to do the Olympics with your brother?
Oh, it was awesome. I mean, for me, I also feel like it was another advantage just having a part of your family with you the whole time. And if I didn't have anyone to talk to, I would have him. So him being there and then him doing like so well, like it gave me confidence knowing that we do the same training basically. So if he did well, I was like, oh, I can do well. And that's also how it was at trials, seeing how well he did and knowing that like we've been through the same work and we eat the same food. So there's no reason why if he can do good, I can't do good. And also him doing well just gave me motivation to do well. And it just makes me happy seeing him succeed as well. And then obviously just having him there. And we basically do everything together. Like, it's weird because he's in college now, like for real this time. So, so seeing him like away is like, if like a few days after he left, I hear the door open, I'll be like, oh, Aaron's home. But I was like, oh, wait, he's not actually home. So that was a little bit weird. And I feel like we've stuck through everything together. I mean, we went to our first USA meet, Junior Pan Pacs in 2022, I think. And then he didn't go to Worlds last year, but then he made it again. So I felt like we were like united and it was all supposed to happen. And it just worked out really well for us.
All right, so we're going to give you a minute to defend yourself and throw some shade at Aaron here, because we had him on the show a little bit ago, and he said when he slacks in practice, when you guys go home, you give him some side eye. So is that true? And then what exactly does he do in practice that annoys you most?
Okay, so he is a really hard worker. I will give him that, but I can't stand it when people save up before the main set. Like, we'll do like pre-kick sets or like presets, especially on Saturday. And when it says descend, I go all out on the last one. And so, like, I would beat him sometimes on hundreds kick, long course. So I'm like, this should not be happening. Like, I know, like, I would get so mad. And I still do. Like, I I'm the person who's not afraid to hold people accountable during practice. Like, I don't think it's mean. I just think it's good leadership. But if I were someone and I weren't like doing the best that I could, I would want someone to like get mad at me or just hold me accountable. So that's just who I am. I've always been that type of person. And I'm not afraid to do it to my siblings either. So he doesn't get any special treatment.
Is it like a passive aggressive style comment, or do you like get in his face?
It depends. I won't yell at like my other teammates, but I will yell at him. So
I just wonder if it's like, oh, it must be nice. Must be nice. You don't have to work hard, Aaron, on everything.
There were some comments like that, or I'd be like, "What are you doing right now?" Like, yeah.
Have you guys ever raced? My last race ever was against my brother. We never raced. We trained together, went to the same club, same team, same university. I would always beat him in practice. He'd always beat me with best times. But we got to race against each other. And it was really nice to see Paddington on the board, and dive in and race. Was there ever opportunity for you guys to race at all? Was there like a dual meet or a club
Mixed
in-season meet
relay?
or anything? Yeah.
I don't think so. I don't think I've ever actually raced him before. There might have been a time. I feel like I've raced Andrew, I'm pretty sure, my twin, but I don't think I've raced Aaron.
Is there any event you can beat him in? Or like in training, what are you better at than him?
I can beat him in breaststroke.
Boom.
He knows he's bad at breaststroke, but I'm not very good at it either, but I am better than him. And probably not, maybe backstroke. But butterfly and freestyle, he has me in. Yeah.
Well, it sounds like you and your siblings have a lot of good practices, and like you mentioned, Andrew is another great swimmer. I believe he was at was it World Juniors or Junior Pan Pacs, right?
Yeah.
In Australia. So when you do go to Cal, what's it going to be like now that you maybe don't have your siblings to train with as much?
Yeah, it's weird because we were all supposed to be there, and then now it's just me. So, I feel like I'm honestly like more like my own person. I feel like Aaron and Andrew are kind of like best buds, and they're always like together. We actually drive separate cars to the pool sometimes just because I like getting there like 25 to 20 minutes early, and they get there most of the time like 10 to 5. So we had to figure that out last year. That was a little bit of a struggle for us because I can't stand like waiting or just get in there just on time. I'm the person who gets there, like likes to sit down for a few minutes, talk to people, and they're more like they just get there and get to work. So we're pretty different in that area. So that'll be good for them to be together at Texas. But yeah, I'm on my own pretty much.
Hey everybody, quick pause to say thank you for watching and listening to Social Kick. If you like this episode, give it a like. And if you like what we're all about, consider giving us a follow or subscribe on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, @SocialKickSwim. You know what to do. Thanks so much for hanging out with us, and we'll keep telling all the stories about swimming. Cheers. Speaking of your routine, I would like to dig into that some. And we did have someone ask a question. Eddie Birdie 5117 asked, like, how much time do swimmers need to spend on stretching? This question was for after workout, but when you talk about getting there early, it sounds like, you've got a routine and you've got kind of your way of preparing to have a great session. So what are some of those things that you do both pre and post workout that, help you set up for consistent training?
Right. So overall, like throughout the weeks, I do 1 week I'll have a massage, an hour massage, and then the next week I'll usually do chiropractor a little bit, depending on what I need, and then it was alternate every week. And then at the pool, we have foam rollers just there for us, so if you ever need to roll out or if you have a cramp or anything, like we have equipment there for you, and then we're a part of the GAIN Dryland program, so we spend 15 minutes, like everybody, like it's not a choice, 15 minutes of on land warm up. So like we do like it's hard to like say it because I just know it so well. But stretch cord, it's like a series of movements just with your shoulders and mobility, and we have other like series of stretching. You have like yoga flows and med ball movements that we do, and so we spend 15 minutes doing that every day, both in the morning practice and at night. It doesn't matter if it's a double, we always do it. So that's a big thing on injury prevention and just staying loose. And I take it with me to swim meets too. I do like 15 minutes every session at a swim meet. So, yeah.
With the gain system, I know Summer's doing that system as well down in Sarasota, and it's been around for a while, and it's I think one of the best systems that kind of teaches the team, and especially these big teams, how to go about things. But from my understanding, it's not really a whole lot of lifting weights. It's more body weight stuff, med ball work, and lightweight working on connections. Is that kind of your feel and what you found to be helpful for you? And do you do weights at all?
Yeah, that's true. That's a great way to describe it. Mostly just body weight, and we use dumbbells and like kettlebells, and we do some front squat and overhead squat with some weight, but like we do not go heavy at all. I mean, mostly if like you do go heavy, it's just the guys trying to show off to each other. So, but I don't.
Wait, Alex isn't going beast mode?
Yeah, we do sometimes. We used to go like max, and that's when we get competitive, but we kind of steered away from max weight efforts and focusing more on movements. And because what we do in dryland, we're just trying to translate to the pool. It's not necessarily like how heavy can you go. So that's good for me because I've, knock on wood, never gotten injured before. So in the weight room or anything like that, I think it helps me get stronger, but also build up injury prevention. So, but yeah, we don't really do too much weight. It's mostly just like squats and squats to a box and lunges, but we have like goblet lunge and goblet squat with like a 25-pound weight that I use. So
let's just talk about your recent races now, just with Paris and trials. I forgot what coach we're talking about recently about the US trials and what's it like. Oh, Bob Bowman. And going to the Olympics and how under pressure of trials and how prepares US swimmers so well for the Paris Olympics. In this year you had 23,000 local fans at a massive stadium, a lot of on the line for you. And then you had 15,000 screaming French fans at the Olympic Games. Which one was more which one worked better for you? What environment worked better for you to perform?
I think, just going off of times, the indie crowd.
Yeah.
And I felt more confident at that meet, just knowing that was like my first taper meet like the whole year. So like I didn't even taper for winter juniors that much. And so I knew my butterfly was in good shape. My freestyle was a little bit more of a concern, but I just had to get through that tuner free and able to be confident for my tuner fly. And I had a good hunter fly in the beginning of the meet, so I knew that my tuner fly was going to be good. Which for a swimmer and like for myself, that's the best feeling, like waking up that morning knowing like you're going to have a good race. Like that's just like what goes through my mind. And so I was like smiling the whole time around deck. And I feel like to be that excited and that happy at Olympic trials, especially, is not something every person experiences. So that was a huge advantage and confidence boost for me, just being in the ready room, knowing that like I was going to make the team. And then I had so many fans, like 22,000 one day, and about like the same every night session. So that was like, I would get behind the block, and I don't know why, but I faced like the opposite direction of everyone else. And so I faced the crowd, and I would just look at everyone before my race and be like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. And then I dive in, like you can hear everyone, like every single stroke, especially because I do butterfly. So like my head comes fully out of water. and on the turns, like I can hear the announcer like talking, and that was just super. That was like the most fun meet I've ever had or ever been to in my entire life. And to say that about Olympic trials is crazy because usually, like I went to the Olympic trials in 2021 and it was nothing like that. It was more of like a stressful environment and like I was scared compared to where this trials, I was like so excited to race and I couldn't wait to do my races. But then also comparing it to Paris where I was like, I don't know if I'm the best here. Like that thought, like that was my first mistake, like guessing if I was like, if I really had a shot at like winning the event or medaling. I just should have been more confident in myself.
So you're saying home Olympic trials, sleeping in your own bed, home cooked food, fans from Swim City, USA versus cardboard beds, chocolate chip muffins, and French fans. There's a difference for you there?
Yeah, a little bit.
But you were in some epic relays. I mean, and you were very successful at you're anchoring relays. You were really important to get relays so they qualify for finals. What was that feeling though? I mean, I would yawn and feel like throwing up and get so nervous when there's so much on me. But I always performed really well in relays. You didn't necessarily have the times, well, in the 200 anchor that maybe you wanted, but was it a feeling of like you did what you needed to do to get the gold and get the team qualified and get the silver, etc.?
Yeah, I wasn't thinking too much about my times, especially in the tuner free anchor. My main job on that relay was to just get us a spot in the final. And I had the tuner fly final that night. So I was told not to go all out in that. So that's why I went 159. So it wasn't any stress. Like, and it was more of like Simone, Anna, who else was on it? Aaron Gemmel to like just the lead, and I hold the lead. Until that last 50, I was like, oh shoot, someone's coming. So, but yeah, that really, I was having fun, like knowing I didn't have to like go all out and feel the actual pain of a tuner free, how it usually is. So I was more relaxed in that. But then the medley relay, which was a total surprise to me, I was just honored to be on it, and knowing if I did my job or whatever, the time didn't really matter, but I knew the girls that night would kill it and break a world record. So
can you talk about the moment that you found out that you were on that relay in the morning?
Yeah, so it was after my tuner fly final, and I was like about to like warm down like a 50 because I'm done. And then my coach is like, you might want to do a little more than that. You're going to be on like the relay, like it's for sure. Like he brought it up to me a little bit before, like there's a possibility, like if you do well in your tuner fly, like they could possibly put you on the relay. And so I think off of my 206 that I went, the semis are like, okay, her fly like is looking good. So after I found out, I was super excited, and like part of me was like, I'm so happy I'm not done. Like it'd be nice to be able to have a few days to like explore Paris, but like Paris versus a gold medal is something that I can't really debate. So I was like, I had so much confidence in the girls at night to get that gold medal. So I knew I was swimming for a gold medal. And it ended up working out perfectly. And they, like I said, broke the world record. So to be able to watch that, but also be like, I'm a little bit a part of it too, was nice.
I've never witnessed a relay swimmer receive their gold medal. Can you describe to us what happened? Like, who gave it to you? Where were you, etc.?
Right. So every night we had a team meeting, like at 8 or like a little bit before 8, before the final session started, and everyone would huddle up, and then usually either Nesty or DeSorbo would lead the meeting, and that's when the medals were given out to morning relay swimmers. And they call your name, and then everyone would clap, and you like walk up to, like, the coach would be in the middle, and there'd be like a kind of like a semicircle around them, and you just walk up and they place the medal around your neck. So it'd be a little bit like how it was on the podium.
No anthem.
No anthem, but luckily for us, we got to hear it a few more times every night. So
Yeah.
There's something really special about that feeling of being needed. I mean, I never experienced it at the Olympic Games, but I experienced it at NCAA's, and I would imagine just like you saying that brought back some feelings of the excitement that comes from, that like, oh, you think you're not going to be swimming, so you have that like initial mindset where that's done, and then when coach comes up to you and says, oh, by the way, you better get ready because we need you, that kind of like mental spark that happens, that excitement, it's like, I don't know what it is, but I mean, it almost gives me chills thinking about that. Oh man, okay, like team first, team needs me, now I'm going to get ready, and it almost like can elevate your performance even further, especially if you're maybe coming off of, maybe a down performance or something like that. That like mental trigger is just so powerful.
Right. Especially like after my 200 fly final, like I was not happy with that. And I was like, that's not really the way I want to end my first Olympics. So when I was told I was on the relay, I was like jumping. I was so excited, and I got to warm down. I was like shaking, like, yeah, I'm on the relay. So I was like so excited, and I couldn't tell my friends, which was really hard for me, because it's more of like a secret. Like the day at till like an hour, that like what do you call it? Like headlines come out, so heat sheet. So I was like keeping it to myself. I'm like, I can't tell anyone. But like everyone, like people are texting me, like saying, like, "Oh, you're done. Like you did it." And I'm like, "No, I'm not."
Thank you.
Yeah. So I was like shaking for like an hour. I was so excited.
Not many people get to go to the Olympic Games and final, individually. And when you did that, you had a great semi 206.4. Talk to us what happened in the final. You think, was it the moment? Was it the time? What was it you think that happened? Because for the audience that's listening, it was a 207.7. Yeah, guys. So what happened? You think you went out well?
Yes. Yeah. Which is weird because my first time going 206 was at trials, and that was in prelims, and I wasn't even trying at all. And so then went 206.1 at semis, and then 206 again at finals. So I was really consistent at trials, and then to see a little bit of up and down while I was at the Olympics was a little bit of upsetting because usually I am more of a consistent swimmer. So I think a little bit of it just being like, maybe it was just like I mentioned earlier, not having the same amount of confidence I had at trials. And then like not trusting my strategy as much, especially being next to Yufei next to me, and her strategy is going out pretty fast. And so I got a little bit shocked, especially in the final where I was like, whoa, you're going out really fast. But I felt like I had to pick up my tempo, and that's when I kind of I tried too hard in the beginning and just let it, I wouldn't say get to my head because not much does, but like it did switch up my strategy, and obviously it didn't work very well. So compared to where and the semi, I was just like, okay, all like I have to do is like get top 2 or get top 3 and I'll be in for the final. So it was a little bit less like of a pressure moment. And like I don't think that what's her name? Yufei was trying as hard in the semi, so I was like catching her a little bit. So I was like, oh yeah, I'm doing so good. And then it was a little bit different for the final. So
yeah, watching that race, Yufei just goes out so fast that first 50. I could certainly see how, like you said, yeah, if you don't have the blinders on, it can really change your mindset. And like you said, going into those Olympics, maybe not the same mindset as at trials where it's like, oh, I can win. So moving forward, what are some things that you think can help you with that mindset on the bigger stage?
Well, I mean, first of all, just being like confident in my own strategy. Like I worked on it the whole year, and it worked every single time until I changed it. So I was like, why did I change what I was doing? I didn't get into my stroke, and I was just thinking about like catching up the whole race instead of like doing like my own race and my own plan. And what works for me, and it worked the whole season. So a little bit upset that I changed it. I wonder, like, maybe the outcome would have been different if I just stuck to myself. But it's a good lesson learned. And I mean, at that time, I don't think I would have gone almost 204. So I feel like that's more of a building process. So it's not like I lost out on the medal that could have been mine. But now going into Worlds this summer and hopefully getting to be on that team in the future, just knowing, like, I know my plan and it's worked every time. So
we just had Regan on, and Regan says she loves the 2-fly. She loves to race it. She thinks it's great. What's your baby? 2-fly, 2-free, or something else?
I love the tuner fly. I like the tuner free occasionally. When my freestyle feels good, I think the tuner free can be like the best event. But when it doesn't feel good, it's like the worst event. And then the tuner flies, love it the whole time. I feel like to be this good at a tuner fly, you have to partially enjoy it and get excited to do it. And so I feel like that's something Regan and I both will do well at, especially like in the ready room at trials. We were the only people talking. And we're just chatting it up before the tuner fly final and making jokes and random stuff about how she had like a cat on her cap or whatever. And we like look over to everyone else and it's like pure silence. And we're like, we are being so loud right now. But it worked for us, so.
Well, besides being loose and sticking to your race plan, you mentioned like you weren't going to go 204, but that's only half a second per 50, right? So, I mean, to be in the 204 low from your PB, so like when you think about it that way, it's not that daunting. And you know that swimming's a game of incremental gains that happen every day in training, right? So like, I don't know, what do you think about like the prospects of that and, you know, getting in that 204, 203, 202 challenging Luzago's 201 category?
I definitely think it's possible. I just don't think I thought it was possible at the time of the Olympics. Like,
Sure.
At trials, I thought I was going to go 205 in the finals, but I was a little bit short. And then I was like, okay, I can do it at the Olympics. And I just like didn't feel as good as I did at trials. So, but definitely going into this year and like now training, knowing like, okay, I can like 206. Like I used to think it was like some like amazing, obviously it's a great time, but like I was like, one day I hope to go 206, and now it's like I was hoping I would reach 206, and now it's like I need to get past 206 and get down to like where the best are at, 203 and close to 202. So
when my fly was on, I loved it. I love when fly feels good. For me, that was for 75 meters max. You know, you feel great, but I'll do fly to warm up, and because you feel on top of the water, you're flowing and you get to the wall. A 50 fly is fantastic, right? Why do you love a 200 fly? Is it that you feel you love reeling people in that last 25 and you see Luke next to you and you love going past him? Or it just feels nice being on top of the water? Why do you love the 200 fly?
She passes you on the first 25, Luke. Let's be honest, not the last 25. Come on now.
I love the tuner fly. I've learned to love it mostly this year. Mostly because of my training. Like the tuner fly is nothing compared to what we've done in training. For example, like last year is when we started like the hard to like fly training too late. Like it was around November. And that's why I didn't make the team last year for Worlds in the tuner fly. I would die really bad. I would come back like 35, 36 at the end of the tuner fly.
Yeah.
And I mentioned in an interview, I was like, I'm going to be better next year. I'm going to be ready for that last 50. And my coach, Plum, he held himself accountable, was like, you know, that's not me. I didn't give you the training you needed to be ready for that last 50. And because I have a lot of opening speed, but sometimes I have a hard time closing. So working on that recently and a lot of the past year. And just like for a specific example, like our fly practices, we started doing fly like ridiculous fly sets and probably about now this time last year, and it'd be like 14 150s long course. So it'd be like 14 200s, 150 fly, and then a 50 free on like 3 minutes, and you just go. You just keep going back until you're done. And we would have like we'd have about 10 people doing that set. So it wouldn't just be me. It'd be like all the other butterflies, some caramel. And so like that, like a lot of people just can't do like one, and to have a whole group do 14 was insane. And so like props to my teammates to like doing that with me. And we like, if somehow we would say like that we have a fly day either on every Tuesday morning or every Friday morning, and alternate every week. But we say the fly day was our favorite day. Like we had so much fun doing these like 14 150s or like 20 100s just straight. Like I don't know why we enjoyed it so much, but I think it's because it was so crazy that we're like, there's no way we're doing this right now. And when we did finish, we would feel so accomplished in ourselves. Yeah. And so like going into a meet, we'd be like, oh, tuner fly, it's nothing. Like, so when I did do a tuner fly, like I was like, especially like this year, I just wouldn't get tired. And it was like the best feeling for myself. Maybe I don't even like the event that much. I just like how confident I feel in myself, knowing that other people are so tired and I'm not.
Yeah. Yeah, we were just talking to James Magnuson, double world champion in the 100 freestyle, many years ago, and he mentioned that when he was an age grouper and coming up, the 200 fly was, the hardest event. But the reason behind it wasn't just that like, oh, it's a 200 and it's hard and the physical pain of the race itself, but it was because he would stand behind the block and be scared of the distance. And so what you're talking about is like the difference between like having the confidence to finish the race, like to have done the work and to show up and like really stand tall and go, I got this. Like know for sure that it's not just a matter of finishing it, but you're going to be able to execute your race plan like really well.
Right, absolutely. I think that's like a big thing for me at trials this summer was I wasn't afraid of the tuner fly. I was excited to do it, and just having that confidence in me and like in warm up, like sometimes I wouldn't even feel good in warm up. And especially like, I think it was during the semi, I didn't feel that good. Like before the semi, I didn't feel that good. And I was like, I don't even care. Cause I know that I've gone 207, like every single tuner fly this season. And I've done so much worse and gone fast in practice during like these type of things. So I didn't even think about, I felt bad. And I don't do like any fly warm up at all. I do like 250s and then I'm done. And I just like, because one, I don't like overthinking my stroke. And two, I don't have like overthinking how I feel in general. So I just do like all 4 strokes and warm up and then 250s fly pace and then get out and then do my race. So that's what it worked for me. So
We've talked with a lot of, great 200 stroke specialists, like we mentioned, Regan, Thomas Haleman, even Leon way back when. And it seems like there's a shift again towards putting in a lot of work with these strokes. And there was a shift at one point of like, all right, we want to just make sure we're maintaining our stroke, really be specific with the right technique. So it makes me wonder, how much of these sets are you swimming with maybe your stroke starting to diminish? Or are you able to maintain that stroke pretty well during that 14 150 set? Because I hear that and I'm like, I could do a 50 fly and then my stroke's falling apart. Even when I was in college, there's no way, at least up here, that I could do a set like that with good technique. So how much of that do you still have, like you'd say, a good technique or an ideal technique? I
would say, especially for the 14 150 set, is pretty good for like about half of them. And then once we get to about 7, the last 50 will get like my arms start dragging a little bit and my hips will fall, but that's just like, there's no avoiding that.
Yeah.
And for me, like my fly can get beaten down like the worst, and the next day, like it will feel fine. Like, I don't know why, because my freestyle is the complete opposite. Like if I do too much threshold or too much aerobic free, the next day I like can't do freestyle. And that's something that we saw this year, is because we were doing so much aerobic and so much like threshold more than we usually would to build up that base for my tuner fly. Like all my training this year was basically for that last 50 in the 200 fly. And so I think that's why my freestyle really struggled this year, because it got so beaten down from all the work compared to where my fly, you can beat it down, but it'll just be fine like the next day.
Well, I want to ask about beating down fly. So I'm about attending Brent Arkin's workout down in Sarasota and seeing Simba train. And they train with the pull boys at 15 meters, right? And they got to kick out under the pull boys to come up for the whole workout. When you did that set, that 14-150s, 14-200s, did you swim like me where you cheat on the turns and one arm? Do you like crap? Your technique falls apart? Do you come up right away? Or does Chris really work on, listen, let's look good as well. You're in pain, maintain your technique, maintain the underwaters, look good all the way. What's your approach to how you guys finish that set and rallied quality wise?
Well, I think, once like 14 is so many that at some point you're going to get in a rhythm. And that's what I noticed, is that after about like halfway up, like I would get more tired the last 50, but I would just be in a flow. And so I was tired, but I have like cues for my butterfly that if I do that, I know that my stroke is going to look good and it's going to feel good. And even if it is tired, like as long as I'm hitting those cues, then there really is no problem. And so learning that a lot of last year and some of this year, it was huge for me. And then, I mean, as far as it goes with like the kick out and underwaters and whatever, long course, well, also something that we do, because we have 10 lanes in our are supposed to be 8-lane pool, because we have to make space for the other groups. And we would put like 10 people, everyone in the fly group in one lane, and we would swim a snake to do these 150s, or when we do hundreds as well. So we go 10 apart, and we go down one lane, and then we push off and go into the other lane and swim all the way back. And then we do it again. So you kind of go in a circle. Or if we had 3 lanes, we just keep going in a snake, so that you don't have to do one arm stroke when you're passing someone, and you don't have to go underwater or anything. You can work on your turns and stuff like that. So because, well, one reason he started this thing is because people were doing one arm strokes, and he's like, we're not doing any of that anymore. You're going the whole way and you're not stopping. So that was a huge thing that we did this year, and it worked out for a lot of the butterflyers.
So how wide are your lanes then? Is it not very wide? You're doing 12 lanes where it should be 10. Is Aaron able to easily touch?
Yeah, just regulation size or what?
Like, it's a normal size pool. So when we do put, 9 lane lines? I don't even know, but like more lane lines than there should be. Like we had to create our own hooks to make like that, like more lane lines fit in the pool. And so we're not following a black line. We can be like, the black line can be on the total right side of the lane, or like not even in the lane at all. And then the lane lines are like a little bit uneven, because like there's not an actual marker. So you could, like, when you're doing fly, I like hit it sometimes, like, oh, but then it's definitely not the right size. It should be. It's probably like, so if it should be like 4 or like a hole, it's like probably like 3/4 of what it should be. But it's not horrible. Like you can do a full stroke, but you just gotta be careful.
I probably still have scars on my fingernails from my thumb, my ankle, from touching lane lines. And it's a reason why maybe you guys should just build a second long course pool. I mean, I can't imagine a high school having 2 long course pools.
Oh, good thing it's almost done. Yeah, we're really excited for the new pool, especially with high school season coming up and how seriously we take it here at Carmel, and having like, there's a lot of stands and spectator area going into the new pool, and it should be done. It was supposed to be done like 2 months ago, but now it's being done in December, I think. So it keeps getting pushed back. But as long as it's ready before high school season, I am okay with that.
I love it. All right, Alex, we got some rapid fire questions for you. We'll let you go. What's the hardest race in swimming?
200 free, long course.
Olympic gold or world record?
Olympic gold.
Do you pee in the pool?
Yeah.
Who's your favorite follow on social media?
Follower or who I'm following?
Who you're following?
Ooh. I have to say Social Kick, obviously.
Hell yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Good answer. We did not script that. Song most likely to sing at karaoke?
Anything Pitbull.
What's one piece of swim equipment you can't live without?
My fins.
What's the best swim that you've ever seen live?
Leon Marchand, either 4 a.m. or tuna fly at the Olympics.
How long until 2018 goes down?
3 years.
Ooh.
Wow. Hell yeah. All right. How often are we doing Social Kick at Carmel?
We try to get every day.
That's what I'm talking about.
Social Kick every day.
There it is. All right. I love it. I remember you said this about the 200 free, and I have to close on this because watching some of your races just to prepare for this conversation. That last 10 meters with you and Simone, like, I don't know how you got your hand on the wall.
Battle.
Nope.
It's amazing. I just like, can you remember that moment? Because we talk about pain and the pain of the 200 free long course. I'm imagining you in that moment, just grinding your teeth, gritting it out to get a hand on the wall.
And
What do you
Simon
remember
knows
about
how
that?
to do it. Yeah, Simon
Yeah,
can get
she's
a
a
hand on the
closer.
wall.
Yeah.
She knows.
Yeah. Okay. So I will never forget that moment because the morning of, like, I didn't have a race. So I'm at Carmel with my friend, Lindsay Bowen. And she's like, Alex, I hate to tell you this, but it's going to be a really close race tonight. Like, and I know your freestyle isn't feeling the best. So we're going to work on your finish. And we worked on my finish for like 20 minutes, working on that last 15 meters. And she was like, reach and roll, reach and roll, reach and roll. And she was like, you're going to reach and roll tonight and you're going to get your hand on the wall and you're going to make the team. And so having her tell me that, like, I had never like worked on a finish so much in my entire life. And the fact that it worked out like at that exact moment. And I remember being on the last 50 and I look over a little bit, I can sense Simone coming for me. And I look over, I'm like, oh, God, are you kidding me? And so I put my head down with like 20 meters to go. And I'm like, I am not losing this race. And she starts passing me a little bit. I'm like, no. And that's when I'm like thinking back to what Lindsay said, like reach and roll. And I just reach and I extend my whole body to get to the wall. And I turn around and I'm like, please tell me I beat her. And then I see it, I'm like, yes. And like, it was a full circle moment for all of that, like that finish work to work out and pay off. And I feel kind of bad for Simone because she was not happy. But we ended up both making the team. So like, it's no hurt feelings at all. But I've gotten so many comments about that finish, and people just were laughing about like how I got my hand on the wall, and because no one thought I won. I beat her or anything. So I think it's pretty funny.
Unreal. What an awesome moment. Well, hey, pleasure to chat with you. We're looking forward to watching, you in the years to come. But thanks so much for the conversation, and you're welcome back here anytime.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It was a lot of fun.
Awesome. That's it for this episode of Social Kick. We'll see you next time.
See you guys.
See ya.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for hanging out with us. If you're enjoying Social Kick, tell your friends about it. And be sure to tell us what you liked by leaving a comment and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Follow us on Instagram. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, The Social Kick. And you can find all of our content on our website at thesocialkick.com.